Hey everybody, Adam Savage here in my cave with it's a tooltip, but it's an elaboration of a tooltip. I recently shot a video on the channel about prying things, about using a lever and a place to stand and how much of the world you can move when you do that. And the prying of things, most of us, our very first pry bar is a flathead screwdriver. And a flathead screwdriver is an excellent pry bar, and one should always have one in stock. And I covered a bunch of different ways in which to wedge and move things. And I covered this piece right here, which I bought from a fire department supplier, and it is called a Pro Bar, made by K-Tool Company. And boy, did I not tell you the whole story about this because I didn't know it at the time. And that is what I'm going to remedy in this video. I love tools. I love tools and what they do and what they make possible. I am also a lover of stories. Obviously, you are watching me because I love making things and telling stories about making things. That's what this channel is all about. And I covered this, and look, I'm a regular person, so I don't sometimes have enough research or enough information about the things I have, right? And I feel like that was a real deficit with this when I covered this and called it only the Pro Bar. And I am sure that my firefighting brothers and sisters the world over were all yelling at the screen telling me to tell more about this story. And so I will. And it all starts with a little bit of extra reading that I was doing because I had come across a wonderful tome called the New York City Fire Department's Forcible Entry Reference Guide, Techniques and Procedures. Now, this is the kind of thing that I just love. And I've got all sorts of this kind of literature on my computer. And every now and then, something's good enough that you want to actually print it out. Because as one would imagine, firefighters need to get into places and they don't have a lot of time. Getting in fast is the name of the game, clearly. And the prying and wedging of things in the fire department is a highly advanced art form. This is, by the way, publicly accessible. There's a link in the description so you can read it. It is terrific knowledge, both from a general knowledge standpoint, but also how to secure things in your house, but like to know what the failure modes are. This is terrific. If you have some other recommendations for literature like this that I can read, I'm all about that. But as I was perusing this, well, it turns out that this ends up being one of the most important tools in a firefighter's arsenal. Tell me if I'm wrong in the comments, but this is what I believe I have now understood. And this is called the Halligan because it was invented by New York City Fire Chief Hugh Halligan in 1948. Hugh Halligan deserves his own Netflix movie, swear to God. He joins the force in 1916. He is an active duty member of the New York City firefighters until 1959. 43 years he spends moving up through the ranks, becoming this legendary leader of the NYFD. And up until Halligan, we had what was called the Kelly Bar. And the Kelly Bar was effectively this minus the spike, and this wasn't so curved. And let's be clear, there are a lot of different versions of these tools, but in the big taxonomy, I think I'm getting this right, that there is the Kelly, which is the predecessor to the Halligan, and then there's the Halligan, which involves this spike, which is a Haas block destroyer. But the fact is, what is really beautiful about this design is that this book is replete with descriptions of how to use the Halligan in conjunction with the axe, with the firefighter's axe, to do anything. And these two tools working in concert are referred to by firefighters simply as the irons. The irons! Did you bring your irons? I brought the irons. I don't know why I went into an Irish accent. The irons, right? That's a beautiful construction. And Halligan, what a character. There's also, it turns out that the very first prototype of the Halligan Bar was made by a blacksmith in New York at the time whose name was Peter Clarke with an E, C-L-A-R-K-E. My Google Food did not find any substantive information about blacksmith Peter Clarke. If you have reference material in this, I'd love to know more about him. Like I said, the Halligan Bar came in many different form factors. Sometimes these were tighter, sometimes they were looser. There are modifications that are recommended to Halligan Bars in the manual, and I love them. They're things like make a notch on the forks here that are exactly a standard exterior door's width. I think it's like 1.75 inches, so that you know if you are jamming this under a door and you're trying to get some leverage on it, you want to know that you're as far but not too far to get the maximal advantage. Well, you carve in little notches so you know when you've gotten under the door but you're under its backside, and you do the same thing here. You add a couple of notches here. There are also some people sharpen these, or they add a little cleft in the middle for other activities, kind of like this one has. The original Halligan Bars, and now it is one of my missions to collect one. The original ones had a 4 letters. In my research, I totally forgot what the letters were. Hold on. There were 4 letters, and the 4 letters were a religious phrase that Halligan wanted to let everyone know that he gave glory to God for coming up with the modification. But it was not lightly. It wasn't like he had a flash. From what I understand, he went through all of their tool usage and really, really worked to refine the best possible layout of everything. Another thing which I really loved, which was he invents the Halligan Bar in 1948, and the New York Fire Department doesn't adopt it for several years because they don't want to give the impression of a conflict of interest. And I like to imagine that is, in fact, a holdover from the old Tammany Hall, New York corruption days of New York was so corrupt. And I'm sure in the 40s, the New York's only wanton corruption yields something as massive as the New York City subway system, right? So I thought it was really sweet. It turns out Boston's fire department were the first to adopt the Halligan tool. And then New York followed, and now it is used the world over, like I said, by firefighters everywhere. Along with an axe, they're called the irons, and that is so much of a better story than it's made of some kind of metal. I don't know what it is, and the spike is really cool. So thanks for tolerating my lack of storytelling the first time I covered this, and again, to my firefighting brothers and sisters the world over. You have helped me in so many ways over the course of my career, not least of which is teaching me how to set shit on fire safely and how to keep my crew safe. And so I thank you for that. Yeah, dude. And everyone should have one of these. This is a smaller one, and it actually comes with this so you can wear it as a strap over your shoulder like that. Yeah, no, this is a special tool. All right. Thank you guys for joining me for this correction. I guess that is a tooltip correction. Yeah. All right. I'll see you next time. Hey guys, Adam Savage from Tested here. If you've ever seen the 6-inch ruler in inches and centimeters on my forearm and wanted one of your own, but you didn't want it to be permanent, well, today's your lucky day. You can now buy temporary tattoos of my measuring stick, my measuring forearm, at tested-store.com. Comes like this, goes on in about 30 seconds with a little water. The instructions are on the back. It comes off with rubbing alcohol, and hopefully it warms you up to the idea of permanently attaching a measuring device to your body, because I use mine every single day.